Hello listeners and welcome to Boomerang. This is Team 4 bringing you the news from the West Lothian Courier, with permission, published on Thursday the 9th of April 2026. And our readers today are Jackie, who has very kindly prepared the newspaper for this recording, Joan, Alison and Joyce, and Harry is our recorder and copier. Our broadcast, as usual, will be in 4 parts. Part 1 will be general news. Part 2 will include family announcements. Part 3 will have more general news items and the quiz. And in Part 4, we will include the answers to the quiz, some news about local sport, and some articles from the spring edition of West Lothian Council Bulletin, if time allows. Can I remind you that when you have finished with the recording, please put the memory stick back into the plastic wallet, turn over the address label, and post it back to us here in Whitburn from a post box and not the post office. Now let's get started with the lead story this week and Joan.
The article is headed "Brave Woman Shares Bowel Cancer Journey" and it's by Ross Thompson. A brave West Lothian cancer survivor has shared her own story ahead of Bowel Cancer Awareness Month. Katie Houston was diagnosed with stage 2 bowel cancer in August 2022 at the age of just 43. She had first developed symptoms in the summer of that year and was convinced to go to her GP on the advice of her husband. She said, "He took bloods and I had 2 at-home tests and referred me for colonoscopy. This became crucial in my diagnosis as my bloods and test results came back as inconclusive. The nurse told me during the colonoscopy that I had cancer. I remember bursting into tears. I was so shocked as didn't feel ill at all. I had no idea how I was supposed to tell my husband, our children or my family. My world had fallen apart. I was too young to have cancer. I felt lost and didn't know what to do. Following my colonoscopy, I was referred for an MRI scan. This showed my bowel tumour as well as a group of cells on my liver and my right breast. I then had my consultant appointment on 5th September 2022. Neither myself or my husband were prepared for what we were told that day. We'd convinced ourselves that it wasn't cancer and I would be okay. Instead, I was told I needed surgery and possibly a stoma bag and chemo or radiotherapy. Katie's surgery was in October 2022 and had a lower anterior resection by robot. Thankfully, I was lucky and didn't need a stoma bag or further treatment. Following surgery, she had a long physical recovery but didn't require a stoma bag or further treatment. However, her mental recovery is still ongoing. She added, "I remember the day I was diagnosed from hospital being told to go live my life and eat and drink as I pleased. Sadly, this was not the case and I suffer from issues with certain food and drinks. Mentally, the cancer shadow still hangs in the background and to be honest, I'm not sure it will ever go away. I've been cancer-free for 3 years now, but I'm still scheduled for a colonoscopy for the next 2 years due to my age. I also meet with my cancer nurse every 6 months. I should have been signed off from her in March, but emotionally I was not ready and she agreed to stay with me for another year. Throughout my diagnosis, my husband and best friend were my support. I held off telling my parents and the rest of my family until I was ready. I think telling everyone meant it was true. When I did tell them, they were a great support, bringing shopping and whatever was needed. Early diagnosis is key, so if you have issues, please go to your GP. Although cancer is a scary word, it's definitely a case of the earlier it's caught, the better. No one wants to hear that word and it never leaves. Over a third of people, 34%, eligible for bowel cancer screening in Scotland don't complete their test. Data revealed by the UK's leading bowel cancer charity, Bowel Cancer UK, has shown. The charity looked at the latest screening data across NHS boards, which oversee local health services in Scotland from May 2022 to April 2024. The data found that Shetland NHS Board has the highest screening uptake figure of 74%, while Greater Glasgow and Clyde NHS Board has the lowest uptake, 61%. Scotland has the third highest average of people taking part in screening, 65.7%, compared to other UK nations behind England, 71%, and Northern Ireland, 67.3%, but ahead of Wales, 65.5%. Bowel Cancer UK is sharing screening uptake figures in the build-up to Bowel Cancer Awareness Month (BCAM) this April, highlighting that there is still an opportunity for more people to take part in bowel cancer screening. The NHS in Scotland has made great strides in bowel cancer screening uptake in recent years, especially since the facial immunochemical test, FIT, was introduced as its primary screening tool in 2017. Scotland has had a welcome long-term strategy which addresses bowel cancer and was the first country in the UK to screen at a threshold of 80 micrograms of blood per gram of poo, and then in brackets UG/G, which England and Wales have since adopted. Genevieve Edwards, Chief Executive of Bowel Cancer UK, said while there's been great work to date when it comes to people taking part in bowel cancer screening, these figures show that there's still room to improve screening uptake even further. Bowel cancer is Scotland's third most common cancer, but screening is one of the best ways to spot the disease early or remove polyps that might develop into cancer. The earlier bowel cancer is found, the more treatable it's likely to be, with more than 9 in 10 people surviving the disease when diagnosed at the earliest stage. And there's a lovely photo on the front of the newspaper of Katie, head and shoulders photo. She's smiling, wearing sunglasses, obviously out in her garden.
Holyrood candidates confirmed. The candidates for the 2 West Lothian constituency seats for the Scottish Parliament election on May 7th have been announced. Voters in West Lothian will be able to cast a vote in constituency and regional contests. Candidates for the Almond Valley constituency are the SNP's Angela Constance, Damien Doran Timpson for the Scottish Conservatives, Malcolm Kevin Jones of Reform UK, Karen Lindsay from the Scottish Liberal Democrats, and Labour's Jordan Stocko. Candidates for the Bathgate constituency are Gus Ferguson of the British Unionist Party, the Lib Dems' Stephen John Hart, Peter Heggie from the Tories, David McLennan of Reform UK, the SNP's Pauline Stafford, and Jenny Young from Scottish Labour. Both these constituencies are covered by the returning officer for West Lothian, and the count of votes will take place at West Lothian College, Livingston, on Friday, May 8th. For the regional contest, all West Lothian constituency areas come under the Central Scotland and Lothian's West region. The returning officer for Falkirk will publish details on candidates in the Falkirk East and Linlithgow constituency. Further information on the election, including details of the location of polling places and guidance on voting, can be viewed via the West Lothian Council website. The public will elect 129 members to the Scottish Parliament. It will be the 7th general election since the devolved Parliament was re-established in 1999. A record number of MSPs are not seeking re-election. 8 of those stepping down were first elected at the formation of the Scottish Parliament in 1999, but only 5 have had unbroken service. Each constituency elects one MSP by the plurality, first past the post system of election. Each region elects 7 additional MSPs using an additional member system.
Prominent site given reprieve by councillors by Stuart Somerville. Armadale's crumbling Edwardian nursery building has survived the wrecking ball again. The school, on a prominent site in Academy Street, has seen several attempts to demolish it and replace it with a housing development of up to 6 homes. But the Development Management Committee in Livingston was split on its future when the latest application from the building's owners came up and Councillor Willie Boyle urged fellow members to back demolition, saying Armadale deserves better. Lucas Land Purchases applied for permission to demolish the C-listed building. An agent for the applicant told the committee that the firm wanted to clear the site and sell it on for development. Planning officers had recommended refusal, citing as one of its main reasons that the applicant has failed to adequately market the property through a board sign at the application site and via the established property websites. The agent said the site had been marketed by 2 firms since 2009, with a sale board on the site until recently. The building has a lengthy planning history, dating back 20 years, with various proposals to convert it into housing, as the site has been designated, or to demolish and replace with new homes. Councillor Pauline Clark said the building reminded her of the school she had attended, and she added, I was really quite taken by the building. She conceded that if she lived as a neighbour to it, she probably would have a different view. A common theme emerged around the use of the existing stonework and architectural features in any new development on the site. It was suggested that if the application had been submitted alongside building plans, it would be more acceptable. Chief concern was the loss of a historic building, one of 3 school buildings on the corner site in the town, dating from the late 1800s to 1906. A report by planners added an additional reason for refusal provided by the development manager, which was the loss of the listed building without the submission of details for a suitable replacement development would be detrimental to the historic townscape character and visual amenity of the area. A report to the committee said, "This listed building is an asset to the local townscape and is of a stable structural condition. Therefore, the council deems the building to be worthy of retention, provided all appropriate steps to do so have been undertaken." Planning officers said the building is still considered to be structurally sound, but parts of the building are in very poor condition and that the owners had not demonstrated proper maintenance. Councillor Boyle told the meeting, "If we refuse this, we'll be in the same position we were 6 years ago, except the deterioration will be worse. There's no merit in this building. There's merit to elements of it, but it is now an eyesore." Chair of the committee, Councillor Harry Cartmill, recommended refusal and said, "I haven't been convinced that demolition is the way forward." In a vote, the committee backed his proposals 4-2.
Heating support now available, article by Ross Thompson. West Lothian locals can apply for £300 of heating oil support under a new scheme run by one of the country's leading charities. The Scottish Emergency Heating Oil Scheme is aimed at low-income and vulnerable households facing increased oil and liquid petroleum gas, LPG, heating costs. Applications are now open, with the fund managed by charity Advice Direct Scotland on behalf of the Scottish Government. Successful applicants will have £300 paid directly to their oil or LPG supplier. The scheme prioritises low-income households in receipt of means-tested social security benefits and vulnerable people in financial hardship. People on the following benefits should automatically qualify: universal credit, Scottish child payment, housing benefit, income support, income-based job seekers allowance, income-based employment and support allowance, and pension credit. Eligible customers who would like to apply for support can visit homeheatingadvice.scotland, call 08000487413 or send a form via post. Applicants will need to supply evidence of eligibility. The scheme will run for up to 6 months and will be kept under review. Those in financial hardship who are at risk of cutting back on heat due to rising costs and who are classed as vulnerable may also qualify for the scheme. Andrew Bartlett, Chief Executive of Advice Direct Scotland, is urging locals to apply for help as soon as possible if they qualify. He said applications are now open for the new Scottish Emergency Heating Oil Scheme, which provides up to £300 to eligible Scots struggling to pay the rising cost of oil and LPG heating. This is a targeted fund to help those in need, especially vulnerable households in rural areas.
Business park plans refused by committee, and this is by Stuart Somerville. Plans to develop West Lothian Business Park in the shadow of one of the county's most recognisable landmarks have been dealt a blow. An application to open up a second access to the site near the Five Sisters was knocked back by councillors. The Development Management Committee voted down the proposals over concerns about traffic on narrow rural roads and damage to well-established hedgerow. An agent for the park's owners gave assurance that the new hedgerow would be planted in advance of the work to establish a new road into the site. A planning application for the formation of vehicular access road at land south of B7015 and east of Five Sisters Business Park in West Calder has been refused at a meeting of the Development Management Committee. The applicant and owner of the site was JJ Land Purchases Limited. Planning officers had recommended that the committee refuse the application. The application site is part of an allocated employment site that lies within the employment boundary for the existing Five Sisters Business Park. The proposal involved the creation of a new access point at the eastern boundary of the allocated site from a quiet local road that runs south from the B7015. This road is bordered on both sides by a well-established mature hedgerow and is primarily used to access two business premises and agricultural land. The land immediately to the west of the proposed access point is currently in active agricultural use. An agent for the applicant explained that the park was at capacity at present, and a new access would allow the owners to develop the eastern side of the land that it owned. In their conclusion, planning officers said, the proposed access point is not consistent with the requirements of master plan strategies that require access to be taken from the existing access point from the B7015 to the business park. There is no justification to depart from this. The proposal would result in a significant increase in the use of minor rural road and would result in a loss of established hedgerow, all to the detriment of the amenity of the surrounding countryside and local biodiversity. Chair of the meeting, Councillor Harry Cartmill, suggested that a parking area on the road used by the councillors on the site visit seemed to be a more obvious point for an access road onto the land, and he asked why that had not been chosen. That seemed a more practical place. The damage to the hedgerow would be minimal, he added. The agent said that the preferred option had been chosen because it would maximise the access to the site. Councillor Pauline Clark asked about the potential further development of the site, and Senior Planning Officer Wendy McCorriston explained that any building plans would have to be submitted for approval in a future planning application. Councillor Cartmill told the meeting, "Given that we don't know what is going to be on the site, I'm not convinced that this road is in the right place. My view is that I agree with the planners and I think this is the best way forward." Councillor Willie Boyle said, "I would move to grant subject to the conditions and the new hedgerow being planted." This was backed by Councillor Clark. In a vote, the recommendation was refused by 4-2.
Sullivan's Bill can help with PPE standards. Bathgate and Linlithgow MP Christine Sullivan has introduced a 10-minute rule bill in the House of Commons, calling for new legislation to ensure that personal protective equipment, PPE, used across the public sector meets new British standards. A 10-minute rule bill is a parliamentary procedure where MPs formally propose new legislation and make the case in a short speech, helping to raise awareness and build support for an issue. The proposed bill would require that all PPE procured and provided by public sector bodies and associated organisations complies with BS 30417 or an equivalent recognised standard. This would address long-standing concerns that PPE has often been designed to fit a narrow range of body types, leaving many workers, particularly women, and those with diverse physical characteristics, at high risk. The British Standards Institutions has repeatedly highlighted how ill-fitting PPE can reduce protection, increase workplace hazards, and contribute to inequality. Using BS 30417 as a baseline for public sector procurement, the legislation would put the state's sizable purchasing power behind proper fit-to-form PPE. Ms Sullivan said, "Personal protective equipment is meant to keep people safe, but for too long, many workers have been put at risk because PPE simply hasn't been designed with them in mind. This is a basic issue of safety, dignity and fairness." One Scottish firefighter came to me with her experience of running into burning buildings, but the service didn't have any female-fit fire boots. This is intolerable, a dangerous trip hazard in a perilous situation. In basic frontline protection, we are failing women whose lives are on the line. When running, oversized stab vests slide up and down, hitting against their neck and chin. In one case, a knife slipped under a police officer's garment and she was hospitalised with severe stab wounds. Ms Sullivan continued, "Women in war zones have reported their oversized body armour cutting their thighs when sat in vehicles traversing rocky terrain or helmets falling over their eyes." Ms Sullivan's 10-minute rule bill is the first step in the legislative process and builds awareness and momentum for change in Parliament.
We have now come to the end of Part 1, and in Part 2, family announcements will be included. Welcome to Part 2, and we will begin with the family announcements. This week, there is only one death to report. Agostini, Remo Gino, known as Ray, 13/3/1939 to 2nd April 2026. Peacefully, on the 2nd of April 2026 at St John's Hospital, beloved husband of Margaret, loving father to Anna, Gina and Steph, much-loved grandpa and great-grandpa, also a dear brother, brother-in-law and uncle of the family. Funeral service will take place in West Lothian Crematorium on Friday 17th April 2026 at 11:30 a.m, to which all friends are respectfully invited. In lieu of flowers, a retiral collection will be offered at the close of service in favour of Dementia Scotland, RIP. And that announcement brings us to the next item in the Courier, which is Club of the Week. This week's Club of the Week is OKVT, or Opportunity Knox Variety Theatre Company. We caught up with the charity's creative director, Sian Ross, about the theatre training project based at Craig's Farm in Craig's Hill, Livingston. Members are taught the skills to take centre stage with confidence, making friends and enjoying many laughs along the way. Tell us some background information on your club.
At Home with the Theatre, AHAT, OKVT project began in November 2023 as a way to address social isolation and loneliness among adults and young people living in Craig's Hill, while offering transferable skills through theatre training such as peer support, teamwork, presentation skills. After just a few weeks, OKVT members asked whether we could help them put a show together. AHAT explained to members that they would train them to do just that, in the same way that we as professionals do. In June 2024, OKVT's We Love Variety sold out at Howden Park Centre. The following year, Variety Live also sold out, and at present the company are working on Stars in Their Eyes, The Heist, a comedy short being filmed around West Lothian.
On what days do your club or group meet, and where and how much does it cost?
Membership is free of charge thanks to funding from the National Lottery Community Fund, the Robertson Trust and the People's Postcode Lottery. OKVT members meet each Saturday at Craig's Farm in Craig's Hill to rehearse. There are plans to increase this to include a weeknight from autumn 2026. Membership is free to adults aged 16 plus, and there's no upper limit. Our oldest members are 80 plus.
What is the most satisfying part of the club?
For the creative team from At Home at the Theatre, the most satisfying part is watching our OKVT members reach their potential and seeing how committed everyone is. Every member has gone from strength to strength since joining, and the increase in self-confidence is off the scale. From our members' point of view, they say, "We're a great group, there are no cliques, we are all friends. There's no hierarchy, everyone just joins in. The directors are so patient and they get the best from us."
Are there any difficulties or challenges facing the club?
Our greatest challenge is to ensure the project continues to receive funding to enable it to continue. As with all charities, we are competing with many other great projects for the same funding. We are very grateful to the funders who have supported us, including City Plumbing in Livingston, who recently donated a toilet pan as a prop for our film. Going forward, we plan to offer fundraising events that will make use of OKVT's new skills to entertain and involve the local community.
What is next for the club or group, and do you have any upcoming events?
Our next big date will be late May for the screening of our film. More details will be shared soon. OKVT will start work on its first panto to be staged in Livingston in January 2027.
If anyone wishes to join your club or group, how do they do it?
Membership is free to anyone with an aptitude for performance. Entry is by a simple addition or an interest in technical theatre. New members are welcome to inquire anytime at homeatthetheatre.com.
It's an article by Ross Thompson. MP hits out as new figures show fall. New figures published by Public Health Scotland showed that just 65.5% of cancer patients in NHS Lothian started treatment within the 62-day standard in the last quarter of 2025. This is well below the Scottish average of 72.6% and short of the 95% target, which has not been met anywhere in Scotland for over a decade. Livingston MP Gregor Poynton described the waiting time stats as deeply concerning. He said, "Behind these statistics are real people across the Livingston constituency and West Lothian facing some of the most difficult moments of their lives, waiting far too long for the treatment they urgently need." Just 65.5% of patients in NHS Lothian being seen on time is deeply concerning. It's not just below target, it's significantly worse than the Scottish average. That should set alarm bells ringing. The Scottish Government have failed cancer patients across Scotland and particularly here in West Lothian. After nearly 2 decades in power, they have still not delivered the capacity needed to meet their own standards. Almost half of all Scots will be diagnosed with cancer during their lifetime, and it has touched every single family in Scotland in some way. I am proud to be standing for a party that has made the fight against cancer a priority. Scottish Labour is committed to developing a modern screening strategy, increasing uptake in existing programmes and expanding the diagnostic workforce. We will invest in new AI enabling scanners to catch cancer earlier and expand rapid diagnostic services so patients are fast-tracked to the care they need. We will also introduce targeted lung cancer screening, speed up cervical self-sampling, and launch a prostate cancer screening pilot because early diagnosis saves lives. I know how emotionally difficult a cancer diagnosis can be. That's why Scottish Labour will ensure every patient receives a personalised care plan covering treatment, mental health and employment support, alongside a dedicated care navigator to guide them through the system. People in West Lothian want to see real improvements, not more missed targets and excuses from this tired SNP government. Patients deserve faster diagnosis, quicker treatment and a health service that works when they need it most. Across Scotland, the proportion of patients still alive a year after being diagnosed with leukemia has fallen from 77.9% to 75.4%. The figures show with fewer people also still alive 12 months after being diagnosed with cancer of the head or neck. Age-standardised survival rates for this form of the disease fell from 75.2% to 72.6%, the Public Health Scotland data shows. The report also shows fewer women are surviving a year after a diagnosis of oesophageal cancer, with this dropping from 46.6% to 42.7%. There has been a decrease in the 5-year age-standardised survival rate for leukemia, down from 61.9% to 57.5%, and among men diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a form of blood cancer, from 68% to 64.1%. The report looked at survival rates for patients diagnosed with cancer between 2018 and 2022, following them through to the end of 2023. Over the course of the 5-year period between 2018 to 2022, it found 70.9% of patients survived for at least 1 year. Almost half, 49.2%, survived for at least 5 years. Public Health Scotland said the chances of survival depend largely on which type of cancer a person is diagnosed, with survival rates ranging from 23.1% for pancreatic cancer to 97.9% for testicular cancer. Scottish Health Secretary Neil Gray said, "It's encouraging to see survival rates improving for lung, pancreatic, prostate and breast cancer. Lung cancer remains the most common cancer in Scotland and the leading cause of cancer deaths, so progress here is particularly important. This reflects earlier detection, more effective treatments and our continued investment in cancer services. The risk of dying from cancer in Scotland is at the lowest rate on record, and we'll continue to build on this momentum to keep improving outcomes for everyone affected by cancer, as set out in our cancer strategy." And there's a photograph of Labour's Neil Poynton standing outside the main entrance of St John's Hospital, looking rather grim.
FAI set to be held. And this is by Ross Thompson. A fatal accident inquiry is to be held into the death of a woman who took her own life and will examine the care provided by NHS Lothian. Shannon Foy, 25, died at her home in Broxburn on May the 13th, 2021. The Lord Advocate considers that her death occurred in circumstances giving rise to, quote, serious public concern, unquote, and has decided that a discretionary fatal accident inquiry, that's FAI, should be held. The Crown Office and Procurator Fiscal Service, that's COPFS, has lodged a first notice to begin the court process for the discretionary FAI. The inquiry will explore the circumstances of Miss Foy's death, the adequacy of the mental health care and treatment provided by NHS Lothian, and whether opportunities to prevent her death were missed. A preliminary hearing will take place at Livingston Sheriff Court on May the 19th. Unlike criminal proceedings, FAIs are inquisitorial in nature and are used to establish facts rather than to apportion blame.
Communities £5.07 million for local path network. Financial Boost celebrates the benefits of investment, and it's by Ross Thompson. Communities across Scotland are celebrating the impact of a £5.07 million investment in local path networks. Between 2022 and 2026, the Ian Findlay Path Fund, funded by the Scottish Government and administered by Walking Scotland, helped 62 projects across 17 council areas. In West Lothian, the fund has supported the development of a new active travel path connecting Newton to Winchborough, which will enhance walking and wheeling opportunities for these communities. Local amenities were previously only accessible via a main road with no pavement access. This project will enable members of the community to walk and wheel to access vital facilities and leisure amenities, encouraging sustainable transport and supporting the health and well-being of residents. Across Scotland, communities have upgraded more than 69 kilometres of path surfaces, created over 16 kilometres of new link paths, and improved almost 29 kilometres of routes connecting neighbourhoods with local services and green spaces. Projects have also removed 28 accessibility barriers, installed 92 seats along community paths, and improved lighting, drainage and signage, helping to make routes safer and easier to use throughout the year. Kevin Lafferty, Chief Executive Officer at Walking Scotland, said, "The Ian Findlay Path Fund has left a lasting legacy that people in West Lothian will benefit from for years to come. These practical improvements make a real difference to people's daily lives. When paths are safe, well maintained and easy to use, people walk and wheel more. That benefits their health and their communities. It also helps the environment, as more people choosing to walk and wheel reduces the number of car journeys and carbon emissions." The fund was established in memory of Ian Findlay CBE, former Chief Executive Officer of Walking Scotland, whose work championed the importance of accessible paths and everyday walking and wheeling in building healthier, more connected communities across Scotland. Kevin added, "The Ian Findlay Path Fund was the perfect way for all of us to pay tribute to Ian. I'm delighted that we can now look back and celebrate its many achievements." Cabinet Secretary for Transport and outgoing Linlithgow MSP Fiona Hislop said, "The Ian Findlay Path Fund has been an important part of our commitment to supporting communities across Scotland to create safe, accessible and attractive places to walk, wheel and enjoy local environments. Since its inception, this fund has empowered local groups who understand the needs and character of their own areas to lead improvements that make everyday active travel easier and more appealing. As the fund comes to a close this month, I want to pay tribute to the volunteers, community organisations and partners who have turned small-scale, grassroots ideas into meaningful local change. Their work embodies the spirit of community-led development and complements our wider national ambition to make walking, wheeling and cycling the natural choice for shorter journeys. While this chapter concludes this year, the legacy of the Ian Findlay Path Fund will continue in the strengthened connections, safer routes and more vibrant places it has helped deliver across Scotland. To find out more about the work for Walking Scotland, please visit walkingscotland.org.uk.
Another article by Ross Thompson headed "Public Can Have Say on Pool Future." 2 public meetings have been organised to keep residents informed on the Council's proposals for the former Armadale swimming pool site. The meetings will take place in the Assembly Hall of Armadale Academy on Tuesday, April 14th and Wednesday, April 15th from 7 p.m. Armadale residents and other interested members of the public are invited to attend either of those 2 meetings to find out more about what is being put forward and to gather the community's views on these proposals. The site is a common good property, and this means that we have a legal duty to undertake a statutory community consultation to help us understand what the community thinks about that proposal. At these meetings, council officers will explain what common good is, the status of the property, what the council's proposal for the buildings are, and why those proposals are being put forward. A council spokesman said, "The Common Good consultation is running until May 22nd, with the outcome of this consultation will be presented to Council Executive in June 2026. It aims to hear views on the proposed sale or lease of the North Street site and the potential demolition of the building in the event of no viable interests being received. The pool has been closed since September 2023 after West Lothian Leisure informed the council that they could no longer afford to operate it. There are no plans to reopen the pool, but the site is still available for community use or community asset transfer if any viable requests come forward at this time. Last month, a petition opposing the pool's sale, lease or demolition gained thousands of signatures. Over 150 locals gathered at a meeting on Thursday, March 12th to voice their concerns over the potential loss of the pool. Armadale residents argue future generations could be robbed of a well-loved community asset. Prior to the pool closing in September 2023, the council sought expressions of interest both from commercial and community groups who might be interested in operating the site. Gillian Dunnigan, who started the petition to save the swimming pool, has been joined by neighbours en masse to demand the pool be saved. The petition argues the loss of the pool will have a significant impact on the community. It adds, residents have faced travel barriers, increased costs and reduced access to physical activity since its closure in 2023. The potential for the permanent closure of the swimming pool is at odds with a council locality plan, which set out to improve health and well-being outcomes in the former mining town. The council previously engaged with Armadale Thistle Football Club on community-led proposals for the property. However, the club was not able to take those proposals forward. Since 2023, the pool has not been drained. This was aimed at minimising potential costs if anyone wished in future to reopen the pool. The councils say while the operating and security costs of maintaining the pool building have been minimised, they have been incurring these costs for over 2.5 years, and it's not sustainable to meet these indefinitely. Any net proceeds from the sale or lease of the property would go directly to the Armadale Common Good Fund, with community groups able to make bids into that fund through the Armadale and Black Ridge Local Area Committee. And there's a photograph of the pool with all its windows boarded up.
Police called to street. A huge emergency services response was dispatched to a disturbance in West Lothian. Police were sent to Livery Road in Bathgate at around 12:30 a.m. on Saturday, March 28th. Officers said inquiries into vandalism at a premises are ongoing. They also confirmed no injuries were sustained. Footage from the scene showed at least 8 police vehicles in attendance. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, around 12:30 a.m. on Saturday, March 28th, we were called to a report of a disturbance in the Livery Street area of Bathgate. Officers attended and there were no reported injuries. Inquiries are ongoing into vandalism at the premises.
And that brings us to the end of part 2. And in part 3, we will begin with the quiz. Welcome to part 3, and we will start with this week's quiz. Question 1. Which American state is known as the Mount Rushmore state? Is it South Dakota, Wyoming, or North Dakota? Question 2. Which actress played the role of Honey Rider opposite Sean Connery's James Bond in the 1962 film Dr. No? Was it Ursula Andress, or Diana Rigg, or Honor Blackman? Question 3. How many packs of cards are most commonly used in the game of canasta? Is it 3, or 2, or 4? Next question. In anatomy, what is the technical name for the navel? Is it patella, or umbilicus, or sternum? Next question. What is the name of the van in TV's Scooby-Doo? Is it the Mystery Machine, or the General Lee, or the Mean Machine? Next question. Which Australian state capital is located on the Yarra River? Is it Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane? And last of all, what is ergophobia the fear of? Is it flying, work, or dogs? Those are the questions for this week. So good luck. The results will be broadcast in the next part, in part 4. So we will go on now with general news and Alison.
Venel New Home for Bank Hub by Ross Thompson. Linlithgow's Venel will be the new long-term home for the town's banking hub. A 10-year lease of 30 The Venel has been granted to Cash Access UK to act as a new location for the banking hub in Linlithgow. Cash Access UK currently operate a temporary banking hub from Linlithgow Borough Halls, as well as a second temporary West Lothian site in the Jim Walker Partnership Centre in Bathgate. Writing on social media, West Lothian Council stated, "The hubs provide access to banking facilities for the town since the closure of High Street bank branches in recent years, with community bankers from different banks taking specific days to operate the hub. The lease of the property at the Venel will provide valuable additional revenue for the council to help support the delivery of essential services. It's anticipated the banking hub will open at its new location in June 2026. Banking hubs are shared physical spaces on high streets, operated by the Post Office and owned by Cash Access UK, designed to restore in-person banking services to communities. They offer a counter service for daily transactions such as cash deposits, withdrawals, cheque cashing, and community bankers from major banks available on rotation for face-to-face assistance, helping bridge the gap caused by branch closures. Dedicated staff from major banks rotate through the hub, offering in-person help with complex issues like online banking setup, loans and account management. Funded by major UK banks, they are implemented after Link Scheme identifies a community that has lost its last bank branch. Over 220 hubs have been planned or opened across the UK to provide banking services.
Battering of Bee Craig's trees is real concern, article by Stuart Somerville. Bee Craigs, like much of West Lothian's woodlands, has taken a battering in the last 18 months of stormy weather. Councillors on the Linlithgow Local Area Committee noted the surge in public inquiries about damaged trees at the end of the year, and Erwin Hopkin from the Council's Nets and Land Services team confirmed it's been a challenging time for our trees. A report to the committee detailed woodlands work in the last 3 months of 2025. The council received 20 reports of damaged or dangerous trees in the Linlithgow area, much of it from Beecraigs, compared to just 2 reports in the same period in 2024. Councillor Pauline Orr said there's been quite a considerable spike in the numbers. Is that down to Storm Ewan last year, with trees maybe damaged then but deteriorating over the year, and coming down with Storm Amy in October? The area has suffered from a lot more adverse weather. Irwin said trees do suffer after storms. We used to talk about 3 years of rest. I don't know when we last had 3 years of rest after a wind. It has become very much that we have 3 or 4 storms in a year. We have had a lot more summer storms as well, and the trees are in full leaf then, more like giant sail, and can cause more damage. It's been a challenging time for our trees. The report to committee added, the harvesting of timber blown down from during Storm Ewan last year and subsequent gales has now been completed, and site restoration is underway. The income from this operation will be used to replant the felled areas and other tree and woodland work. Early October brought Storm Amy to West Lothian. Although only categorised as a yellow warning for high winds, some of the parks and green spaces were impacted by wind-blown trees and branches down over paths and access points. Over 2 days, the Ranger Services patrolled all footpaths and mountain bike MTB trails in the 3 country parks to report back on path networks impacted by storm damage. Other sites were patrolled over the following week to clear debris and report further tree damage to arborist teams. Irwin said that trees can be de-established by storms, adding we are heavily reliant on the public reporting damaged or dangerous trees. We do surveys after severe storms. We are lucky that people do take the time to contact us. We don't mind getting multiple reports, we'd rather have that than none. The clear-up at Beecraigs following the 24th January Storm Ewan last into the summer last year, with an additional stormy weather in February adding to the problems. As the LDRS reported last summer, more than 200 trees were brought down at Beecraigs. They were among the thousands damaged across West Lothian, and there's a photograph of fallen trees.
The next article is in big black letters. Subo's No Mug. Talent show icons celebrate 65th birthday in style. And this is by Stuart MacDonald. Susan Boyle has launched her first ever range of merchandise to mark her 65th birthday. The singer is flogging t-shirts, hoodies, hats and tote bags bearing her name, and is so happy with the collection, which went on sale for the first time this week. Subo shot to fame on Britain's Got Talent at the age of 47 in 2009 with her incredible performance of I Dreamed a Dream from Les Miserables. She went on to sell 20 million records and sang for Pope Francis at the Vatican's Christmas concert in 2019. However, in April 2022, she suffered a major stroke, which left her unable to speak and sing properly. After intensive vocal coaching lessons, which helped restore her speech and singing voice, she is now planning to release new music and go on tour again. After turning 65, that was on the 1st of April, she unveiled the merchandise which is being sold through her official website. It includes a pink hoodie at £50, T-shirts at £30 and a £40 jumper with her initials on it. Other items in the range included a tartan tote bag and Susan Boyle branded mugs, baseball caps and beanie hats. Susan of Blackburn, West Lothian said, "As I celebrate my 65th birthday, I'm so happy to finally share my very first official merchandise range with you. I've loved putting this together and I hope you'll find something you like. It's available to order now for UK delivery and EU shipping will be opening in the next few days, with the US following in the next few weeks and the rest of the world shortly after. There are also more exciting items on the way, so do keep an eye on the shop over the coming days. Thank you for all the love you've shown me today and over the years. It truly means everything to me, and this felt like a lovely way to celebrate together. Simon Cowell has picked Susan's first appearance on Britain's Got Talent as his favourite audition of all time and said she was responsible for the show's global success. Earlier this year, Hollywood star Timothée Chalamet revealed he is a fan and described the singer as one of the greatest living Britons. The Marty Supreme actor said he was mesmerised as a schoolboy when he watched her audition on YouTube. And there is a really lovely picture of Susan. She's got a pink checked overshirt on and wearing blue denim jeans. Her hair's blonde. She's wearing spectacles, wearing a nice smile. And there's also a picture of one of her mugs with her name Susan in red on it. And also a hoodie, which is very pale pink. And again, red lettering, Susan Boyle, just sort of underneath the neckline. And also a picture of her tartan tote bag, which sells, incidentally, for £18.
School Says Goodbye to Depute Head by Ross Thompson. Pupils and staff at Winchborough Primary School and Early Learning Centre said a fond farewell and happy retirement to Depute Head Teacher Gillian Hailstones. The school community came together ahead of the Easter break, joined by Gillian's family for a retirement assembly to celebrate over 32 years working in education in West Lothian. Gillian received many generous gifts and a video of memories and well wishes from colleagues across the years. Winchborough Primary School head teacher Ian Harvey said, Mrs. Hailstones has made an enormous contribution to the education of young people in West Lothian over the course of 3 decades and is most deserving of a well-earned retirement. She will be much missed, but on behalf of everyone at Winchborough Primary School, we wish her a long and happy retirement. And there's a beautiful photograph to accompany this story. It shows Mrs. Hailstones standing in front of an enormous screen which says Happy Retirement, Mrs. Hailstones. And she also has a beautiful decoration made out of balloons. So it's on a stand. It's not as large as an arch because you couldn't fit quite under it, but there are a lot of balloons. There's very small, bright pink ones, slightly bigger, pale pink. There are gold balloons. There are bright pink ones with flowers, I think, on them. There are tiny little silver ones, and there are gold embellishments over the decoration and also some floral parts to it as well with some foliage. And she is clearly a much loved teacher, and we all wish her a happy retirement.
Energy prizes on offer. The search is on for people, teams and companies in West Lothian who have gone the extra mile to ensure safety and well-being remains at the forefront of UK energy operations as nominations for the 2026 Energy Safety Awards are underway. The event, jointly organised by Offshore Energies UK and Step Change in Safety, celebrates safety leadership, culture and performance. Formerly known as the Offshore Safety Awards, the updated name reflects the evolving energy landscape and ensures the awards remain relevant, inclusive and future-focused. The ceremony takes place on August 20th at Aberdeen's P&J Live. The deadline for submissions is May the 1st and the award categories are Award for Major Hazard Awareness, Award for Wellbeing, Award for Safety Representative of the Year, sponsored by Opito, Award for Workforce Engagement, Award for Sharing and Learning, Award for Outstanding Contribution to Safety, Award for Decommissioning Safety, Award for Site Leader, and Award for Aviation Safety. More information about submitting a nomination for the Energy Safety Awards is available via https:// form.jot.com/26078271493258.
Society hosts talk. At the next meeting of the West Lothian History and Amenity Society, that's the WLHAAS, the topic will be Scotland Beneath the Surface and be given by Bruce Keith. Bruce has spoken to the WLHAAS before on bridgescapes and milestones, and this time promises members a subterranean odyssey exploring the natural and man-made heritage beneath the surface of Scotland, from caves and mines to railway tunnels, hollow mountains and underground bunkers. He is a witty and engaging speaker, and the Society guarantees you will be entertained as well as educated and informed. The meeting takes place on Wednesday, April 15th at 7:30 p.m. in Room 11, Bathgate Partnership Centre.
It's time for Firm's New Generation by Ross Thompson. Company boss Mark Heaney has spoken of his pride at welcoming a third generation into the family-run firm John Heaney Electrical, with son Aidan joining the ranks. The 18-year-old has followed in the footsteps of grandfather John and his dad to take up a position in the Livingston-based electrical, mechanical and HVAC firm. The teenager is the company's first employee to do a 4-year building services apprenticeship and will be working in the facilities management division. Having worked for my own dad for several years, I never thought the day would come that my own son would follow in my footsteps and work for JHE, said Managing Director Mark, who joined the business in 1995 as a 16-year-old before going on to assume the MD role in November 2016. When Aidan left school at the end of 5th year, he didn't really know what to do. He eventually spent some time working in the financial services sector, but decided that route wasn't for him. We had an opening for an apprentice in the FM division of the company, and after he spoke to the department head, he decided it was something he was interested in. He's really enjoying learning the ropes. Working out in the cold, wind, sleet and rain hasn't put him off. It was a proud dad moment when he walked through the door for the first time. He's a grafter and knows there will be no favouritism. His granddad's delighted he's joined the company, although I don't think it's Aidan's ambition to take over from me. Aidan added, "It's a big thing for the family and I'm really enjoying the work. I've been working on air conditioning and the electrical side of things and will also be involved in gas. The team have been great since I joined. The banter's good fun. I've heard the chat about being the son of the boss, but to be fair, there hasn't been that much, and we have a good laugh about it. I'm really enjoying being outside on the tools and learning so much. I didn't expect to go down this path, but for me, it's so much more enjoyable than a desk job. The apprenticeship is something I definitely want to complete and use it to continue working afterwards." Speaking of his own pride at the latest member of the family to join the company, John added, "It fills me with both pride and disbelief that Aidan has joined the family firm. Seeing him join the company and becoming part of a team makes me reflect how far we've come as a business since its inception as a sole trader in 1983. Businesses often talk about the continued legacy. However, to me it is important that the values that the business was founded on have not been lost over the years."
Article by Ross Thompson headed Nat's Candidate Welcomes Culture Secretary. Amman Valley SNP candidate Angela Constance welcomed a visit from Scottish Culture Secretary Angus Robertson, who met with local arts leaders and service providers at Reconnect Howden Park, Livingston, to see firsthand the innovative work taking place across West Lothian. The visit was hosted by Angela alongside Pete Snedden, Creative and Strategic Director of Reconnect Theatres, and Electra McPhillips, CEO of Firefly Arts. They all showcased the breadth of the creative work delivered by local partners, including ArtLink Edinburgh and Lothians, Generation Arts, Amond Valley Heritage Trust, and many more. The delegation discussed how local arts organisations are contributing to the national cultural strategy, strengthening community engagement, and delivering creative solutions to social, educational, and well-being challenges. West Lothian's cultural sector has played a pivotal role in its transformation from a traditional mining region into a dynamic, modern community. Its art organisations continue to drive creativity and resilience, supporting health, care, education, and the wider Scottish economy. Local arts services are known for their collaborative ethos and their commitment to providing opportunities for children, young people, adults, and marginalised groups. Many organisations are pioneering accessible and community-focused programmes that reflect the region's strong identity and talent. Angela said, "I was delighted to attend today's visit with the Cabinet Secretary and to witness the exceptional work taking place across West Lothian's cultural organisations. The creativity, commitment and community spirit demonstrated here embody the very best of Scotland's cultural landscape. I was particularly encouraged by the way local organisations are helping to drive forward arts initiatives that align with West Lothian's community-focused objectives, from increasing access and participation to delivering programmes that support education, health and social inclusion. These organisations are not only nurturing local talent, but also contributing to a stronger, more resilient creative sector for the future." The Scottish Government has honoured its commitment to the culture sector with an increase of over £70 million compared to 23-24. This progress towards the SNP Government's commitment of a £100 million per year increase by 28-29 and will help arts initiatives across West Lothian ensure our creative sector remains dynamic, inclusive and well equipped for the future. And there's a photograph of Angela Consons with Angus Robertson MSP and Pete Snedden, who is the Creative and Strategic Director of Reconnect Theatres.
Councillor wants vape legislation, and this is by Stuart Somerville. A Linlithgow councillor has called for legislation for traders selling products such as vapes. Sally Pato, chair of the Linlithgow Local Area Committee, told this month's meeting that a legislative framework was needed to address changes on Scotland's high streets. The call came in the wake of the disastrous fire in Union Street in Glasgow a fortnight ago. The blaze is believed to have started in a vape shop. The entire Victorian building, known as Union Corner, which adjoins Glasgow Central Station, was gutted in the blaze and has had to be demolished. Councillor Pato asked Planning Officer about the council's position. A planning officer, Matthew Watson, said the council had few regulatory powers. "I wonder what is the council's statutory role in inspecting places that sell lithium-ion battery products such as vape shops, but also shops that sell electric bikes. My concern is that in Linlithgow, lots of the properties that sell these products are surrounded by residential properties." Mr Watson told the meeting there is no licensing by the council through trading standards, but vape sellers have to be on a national register. From a planning point of view, a shop selling vapes is treated in the same way as any Class 1A trader, such as a hairdresser or baker. From a regulatory point of view, there's very little, Mr Watson said. Councillor Pato replied, "So legislation would have to come from the Scottish Government. It doesn't feel as if the regulatory framework has kept up with the changes that have happened on high streets. It's not just Linlithgow or West Lothian, but all over Scotland. These products weren't around 10 years ago." Bathgate councillor Willie Boyle raised the issue at the town's local area committee the day after the Glasgow fire. Jerry Hughes, the local liaison officer for the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, told the Bathgate Committee battery fires were something everyone had to get better at recognising the risks. Mr Hughes told the meeting, We can try to educate people to dispose of these batteries safely. We have to get ahead of these things and get better. There are new risks to communities and we need to tackle them head on. A spokesman for West Lothian Council told the local Democracy Reporting Service this week, "When it comes to vapes, trading standards are responsible for the overarching principle where all consumer products available must be safe. We ensure that vapes have the correct size of nicotine tank, regulated by MHRA. We also ensure that single-use vapes are no longer on sale. Legislation banned them last year." The situation in Glasgow may or may not have been caused by vapes. They tend to be stable unless damaged. They can be unpredictable also. If they do ignite, they can be very difficult to extinguish. There have been some high-profile fires at recycling and waste transfer facilities caused by lithium batteries. It is a worldwide problem. Lithium batteries are effective as batteries but do pose risks. A cross-government ministerial board has been established to coordinate the Scottish Government's immediate and longer-term response to the Glasgow Union Corner fire. Chaired by Livingston MSP and Justice Secretary Angela Constance, the board will ensure that work across the Scottish Government is most effectively supporting the city's recovery efforts. It will also oversee the development of a support package to aid in the recovery process.
We have now come to the end of part 3, and in part 4, some local sports news will be included, as well as items from the Council Bulletin. Welcome to part 4, and we will begin with the answers to the quiz. Question 1. Which American state is known as the Mount Rushmore State? And the 3 choices were South Dakota, Wyoming, or North Dakota. The answer is South Dakota. Question 2. Which actress played the role of Honey Rider opposite Sean Connery's James Bond in the 1962 film Dr. No? The 3 choices were Ursula Andress, Diana Rigg, or Honor Blackman, and it was Ursula Andress. Question 3. How many packs of cards are most commonly used in the game of canasta? 2 cards. 2 packs of cards are used. Next question. In anatomy, what is the technical name for the navel? The choices were patella, umbilicus, or sternum, and the answer is umbilicus. Next question. What's the name of the van in TV's Scooby-Doo? It is the Mystery Machine. Next question. Which Australian state capital is located on the Yarra River? And the choices were Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane. The answer is Melbourne. And last of all, ergophobia is the fear of what? Is it flying? Is it work or dogs? It's work. There's the answers. I hope that you were successful with the quiz this time. Now we will continue with the news and Alison.
This story is taken from the West Lothian Council's Bulletin. West Lothian team race to top prize at STEM Racing Challenge. A talented team of Linlithgow Academy pupils have brought silverware back from the Aramco STEM Racing World Finals 2025 in Singapore. Vega Racing by Allen Steel Asset Management, ASAM, is made up of Kirsty, Evie, Clara and Joseph, and were awarded the Team Identity Trophy at the awards, which saw 84 teams from 36 countries take part. Formerly known as F1 in schools, the STEM racing competition challenges students to form their own Formula One team and design, build, test and race a 15cm scale model car of the future powered by compressed gas. At the World Finals, teams present their cars, their pit displays, portfolios and verbal presentations to judges, with races taking place on a 20-metre track where cars cover the distance in just over a second. Across the 5 days of competition, Vega Racing were on track racing 4 times against teams from around the globe. They also spent time in the F1 pit lane and paddock for the Singapore Grand Prix, as well as presenting their engineering, enterprise and project management folios and a verbal presentation.
Another article from the Bulletin. Approval sought for decriminalised parking. West Lothian Council is set to seek powers to take over parking enforcement for the area. Council Executive have approved plans to progress the implementation of decriminalised parking enforcement and pavement parking legislation. A report will be presented to the Environment and Sustainability PDSP later in 2026, setting out the lengthy legal process required for the Council to be granted powers by Scottish ministers to enforce parking and pavement parking in West Lothian. The report will also include a draft business case that will be presented to Council Executive for approval prior to submission to Scottish ministers, with the whole process expected to take up to 2 years. Currently, Police Scotland are the only ones who can enforce parking, waiting and loading restrictions on the public road network in West Lothian, and they previously employed dedicated parking wardens to carry this role out until 2014. Decriminalised parking enforcement transfers the responsibility for enforcing parking regulations from the police to local authorities, with a majority of Scottish councils now operating a decriminalised parking enforcement regime. This is expected to reduce illegal parking and congestion, improve traffic flow and compliance, such as blue badges, and improve road safety in West Lothian. Another report will also be presented to the Environment and Sustainability PDSP in 2026, setting out proposals to enforce pavement parking legislation in West Lothian. Preventing pavement parking will enhance safety and accessibility for all road and footpath users, particularly vulnerable groups such as those with mobility issues and parents with pushchairs. While there are additional costs incurred when setting up and staffing these new proposals, it is expected to generate a small surplus which would be reinvested to improve transport infrastructure in West Lothian.
Lewis living on a prayer, and Lions maintain survival hopes. Lewis Smith insists Livingston still believe in Premiership survival after their battling point against Hearts on Easter Sunday. The Lions ace is adamant no one is deluded by the dismal current predicament which sees Marvin Bartley's team 11 points adrift in the basement. With just 6 games to go, the task seemed hopeless. But Smith, who bagged the equaliser to earn 2-2 draw against Hearts, says no one is tossing in the top-flight towel ahead of Saturday's clash against Dundee United. He said, "We are not deluded in any sense. We know the situation we're in, but you need to come in every day, work hard and try to get some positivity around the place. A win going into the split and then playing the other teams around us, you never know. Until it's mathematically impossible, of course, we still believe. It would be massive to win at Tannadice. We know the stat is hanging over us about not winning games. If we could get it out the way, hopefully we could finish the season strongly. It will be tough, but we fully believe we can win and it could kick us on." Smith referred to the start of just one Premiership win all season, yet their ability to trouble the bigger sides was again evident against league leaders. The goal scorer said, "We finished the game really strongly and could even have nicked another one. There have been a lot of big performances like this one and Rangers at home. There have been a few others when we should maybe picked up 3 points. We are frustrated, but all we can do is look forward and hopefully we can kick on. We hope it spurs us on for a positive end to the season, and you never know. We wish we could replicate some of the performances against the biggest teams in other games. It just shows the character and the fact we are willing to fight, even if people aren't expecting us to do well. We managed to block everything out and step up and get a point. The conditions were mental. We went in at half-time and it was sunny. Then we came back out and it was snowing. It was a bit strange, but you have to take it in your stride. We did start the second half slowly, but we managed to recover from that. Smith took his go against Hearts with aplomb as he followed to get his finish beyond backtracking Stephen Kingsley on the goal line. He smiled. There were a few boys on the line and I thought I'd have to lift it. Thankfully, it hit off the defender and went in rather than going the other way. Livy's display against Derek McInnes' men was another example of what could have been, and Smith added, "We know we haven't been good enough for large parts of the season. Just because we've had a positive result against Hearts doesn't mean that's not been the case. It gives confidence among the squad. We are all fighting for each other." Livingston are looking for their first win since August amid a run of 32 games in all competitions without a victory. Sunday's result made it 30 straight winless games in the league, and they will be looking to avoid equalling the longest streak in Scottish League football of 31, set by Arbroath in the 1960s. And there's a photograph of Lewis Smith and celebrating after his equaliser against Hearts on Sunday, and of course is in his nice gold and black football strip.
And this story is from the Bulletin. The headline is "Some Result for West Lothian School at National Maths Challenge," and you need to know that "some" is spelt S-U-M. A top team of talented young people from the James Young High School have won the Silver Award at the prestigious Enterprising Maths in Scotland finals. Organised by the Scottish Mathematical Council, the fiercely contested competition saw the best young maths students from 52 schools across the state and private sector in Scotland come together after success in their regional heats. The James Young High School team of Parvana, Matthew, Jonathan and Maeve worked quickly and strategically to solve very challenging mathematical problems to secure the second place finish. They were only narrowly put to the top position by Stuart Melville College in Edinburgh and finished ahead of St Leonard's School in St Andrews and Edinburgh's Fettes College. The James Young High School head teacher, Tricia Gallagher, said, "This outstanding achievement reflects the hard work and dedication of our pupils and staff. This is the first time our team has made the finals, so for Parvana, Matthew, Jonathan and Maeve to confidently face seasoned competitors, such as those from the top performing private schools in Scotland, to claim second place is phenomenal. Aspiration and success are two of our key school values, and our young people are inspiring examples of this in action."
Another article from the Bulletin, which is headed "First in Scotland to Pilot Accessible Transport Tech." A pilot project between West Lothian Council, Lothian Country and Sight Scotland veterans will help service users of the Linburn Centre with sight loss to access real-time public transport information to help them get to Livingston Shopping Centre and further afield. West Lothian Council has installed new NaviLens codes at bus stops in Wilkeston and at Livingston Bus Terminal following engagement with Sight Scotland veterans on how their community access public transport. The use of apps employing AI is a key contributor in assisting users to undertake simple tasks, effectively making day-to-day life easier for them. NaviLens codes are similar to interactive colourful QR codes which blind or partially sighted users can scan with their smartphones. This then provides users with real-time audio with transport information such as buses services and the estimated times they will arrive at the stop. It can be used to provide information on local infrastructure and facilities that surround them, making it easier for them to make their way around public places. And for more information on NaviLens, please visit www.navilens.com.
And a small article, this. again a sport article, Rose in title decider. Linlithgow Rose kept themselves right in the Lowland League title mix on Tuesday night with a 3-1 win away to Celtic B. The Gallant climbed to second in the table and moved to within just 1 point of leaders Clydebank with 2 games remaining. And to add to the drama, the top 2 now face off on Saturday at Preston Field in a clash that is almost certainly a title decider. The Gallant have the tougher of the final day fixtures, with Gordon Herd and his side heading to third place, Bonnyrigg Rose, while the Bankies host Cally Braves.
I'll have to write up what we've done now.
And this story is from the Bulletin. St Kentigern's rebuild on track. The rebuild of St Kentigern's Academy in Blackburn is on schedule to finish in April 2026. As the Bulletin went to press, the major construction project was in its final stages and is expected to be ready to welcome pupils ahead of the 2026 exams. Over 60% of St Kentigern's had to be demolished due to issues with reinforced autoclaved aerated concrete, or RAC, with West Lothian Council committing £20 million from its capital budget towards the overall rebuild cost of £35 million. The Scottish Government have been approached for support with the remaining £15 million of the £35 million cost. The new building will feature a reception area, spacious canteen and dining area, games hall, dance studio, fitness suite and a changing village. Additional facilities will include a performance area, a range of learning spaces, a cafe and nurture rooms, all designed to enhance the learning environment for all of the young people who attend the school.
Another article from the Bulletin. West Lothian's road network will benefit from a significant funding injection this year, and it's about potholes. An additional £2 million will be targeted towards pothole repairs and road defects following the Council's budget being set. This targeted investment will focus on tackling the current backlog of potholes and improving road surfaces across communities. The additional funding has been made possible following the council tax increase. Generally, all income raised via council tax is spread across all areas of council services and supports the full range of essential local services. In addition to this broad support, an increase of 7.4% has allowed the council to target extra additional towards improving local roads and repairing potholes. This is in addition to a further £8.2 million investment for roads and related assets like road repairs and street lights via the Council's capital programme.
And that encouraging news about the promoted repairs to the roads in this county brings us to the end of our broadcast for this week, and we hope you found it enjoyable and informative. Please put your memory stick back into the wallet, change the address label, and remember to post it in a postbox and not the post office. All that remains is to send you our very best wishes for the coming weeks, and until next time, take care. So it's cheerio from Team 4.